This person believes that people should be, quote, governed only consensually. Basically, he believes in abolishing the state. Fun fact, we kind of tried that once. So let's talk about Grafton, New Hampshire, a town that started out embracing libertarianism and ended overrun by bears. Come along for the journey. It's a bit of a walk. So essentially what happened is that a group of libertarian activists decided to take over a tiny New Hampshire town, Grafton, and decided to turn it into a site where they tested libertarian ideals, proved their excellence. A true libertarian utopia. Radical freedom, open markets, and an abandonment of, quote, statism. Left alone, free individuals would thrive and self-regulate thanks to the sheer force of logic and reason. This is all very Ayn Rand. An important name here is John Babbiard, who moved to New Hampshire from Connecticut in the 90s, and he loved the freedom-loving community he found there. Eventually, he would come to lead their volunteer fire department, which he calls mutual aid. He also ran for governor on the Libertarian ticket. So he came up with an idea to invite libertarian activists to come move to the town and essentially take over Grafton. There was less than 800 voters and lots of open property. So the idea was we could convince enough libertarians to come, we could take the place over. Now, there were some obvious problems with this. For starters, when you invite all of the libertarians who want to come, you're casting a pretty wide net. So Babbiard had some pretty ordinary libertarian views, like deregulation, zoning laws, things like that. But some of the folks he paired up with had pretty intense views, like Larry Pendarvis, who wanted to create a space honoring the freedom to traffic organs, and reinstate the right to hold duels, and the God-given underappreciated right to organize so-called bum fights. He also bemoaned the persecution of the victimless crime that is, I'm not reading it out loud, but wow. And I love this. Babbiard ran into the problem that the libertarians were, quote, operating under vampire rules. Once you're invited to enter, you can't be asked to leave. And so the town filled with over 200 new residents, overwhelmingly men, with very strong opinions, and plenty of pew-pews. But in addition to a bunch of silly stuff like a survivalist tent city breaking out, they also slashed the town's budget by 30%, and fought a ton of legal test cases, as well as staging a bunch of weird encounters with the sheriff to get YouTube hits. Things got worse. Potholes multiplied. Domestic disputes proliferated. Violent crime spiked, and town workers started going without heat. The private sector did not fulfill the public needs. Then came the bears. Essentially, there was nobody to enforce Don't Feed the Bears rules, no zoning laws to prevent habitat incursion, no functional town government to implement bear-proof garbage cans, and a bunch of other reasons. But essentially, bears started coming into the town. One person was welcoming bears with regular feasts of grain topped with sugared donuts. And if those bears showed up asking someone else for food, that wasn't her problem, while others threw firecrackers and pastries at them. It's the inherent flaw with libertarianism. It promises freedom while stripping away responsibility. It's not how it works. Because if we have freedom without responsibility, we're leaving ourselves to the bears.